What's going on YouTube? QKG here, and today we about to go ahead and get down with another impressions video today on some of the latest titles that your boy's been trying out. Mainly, this is pretty much like a review, but this is just all straight off the top of the dome, not really nothing script, anything like that. All just completely just the raw experience from everything I've had so far. So the game we're going to get in today is Gears of War Ultimate Edition for Windows 10 PC. So in case you guys did not know, or if you didn't hear me say in some other videos, I could not wait to play this game. I am a huge Gears fan. A huge Gears fan! I may be a huge Gears fan, of course. I mean, everything from what that game did, it did something great for third-person shooters. It was a cover-based tactical game. I will definitely say that because you had to use your brain. You couldn't just run out there and shoot people because you would die. But it definitely did a lot for the genre. It actually probably one of the most innovative third-person shooters when it came out. Because I remember when the first Gears of War came out, I wanted to try it, but I didn't get to play it until the second, and that game just completely blew me away. So with that being said, I couldn't wait for this game to come out because Gears of War hasn't been on PC since the very first one back in 2007. That was like for games for Windows Live. So if you wanted to get it, if you could somehow, there was no way you could play it online. And then also Gears of War's multiplayer really got good around Gears of War 3. Gears of War 2 was okay. It was just a connection that was just completely cheese. But everything else about Gears of War's multiplayer, I loved. And they incorporated into the new one. So pretty much what I'm going to go ahead and start out with, I'm just going to start out with the positives of everything that I loved about it. Just from, we're going to just go through the story and then also the multiplayer. Unfortunately, there's no horde mode in this one, which kind of sucks, but it's still a pretty nice title. So pretty much for the campaign, it's, you know, this regular Gears of War 1 campaign. There's just the cutscenes look better, the graphics look a whole lot better than the first one. Even though the very first Gears of War aged really good, this one still looks phenomenal. But there's a problem. I don't know what is going on, but there's one thing I'm going to describe this game when it comes to its single player. It's confused. It wants to be a poorly optimized port, and then sometimes it just wants to be good, but overall it just ends up a complete mess. So what I mean by that is the frame rate drops constantly whenever I play the single player. Sometimes when I play it in window mode, it's fine, which I'm launching window mode, but for some reason when I play it, sometimes I'll have like no issues whatsoever, and then out of nowhere there's audio drops, there's frame rate drops, it just texture pop-ups. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense that how come this game is having these issues when it comes to the single player. So it just really makes that experience really sour for people who actually don't know the original Gears of War story. And that was actually one of the better ones too. Gears of War, pretty much all of it besides Judgment, was actually good. The single player was just annoying because all the frame rate drops. I knew something wasn't right when it put all my stuff preset to low. When I have a R9 280 overclocked edition, that can poop on that game easy. So I wanted to make sure, you know, there was nothing wrong with my system. So I played the multiplayer. This is how I knew it was the deciding vote. The multiplayer ran like butter. I don't understand that. How come the single player has so much issues to where the multiplayer just barely has any issues? The only thing that's different is the fact that there's audio drops. And then also when you try to record gameplay, it completely cuts the audio out at a certain moment. So it gets really annoying trying to record gameplay for the streamers or for anything like that. It doesn't even pick it up in DirectX. It doesn't. You have to record in window mode or use Microsoft's weird recording software, then try to run yours on top of it. Maybe it might work, maybe it might not. So I don't understand what was going on there. So I knew something wasn't right when I played The Division, because it actually came out today. I played it, and that game has similar system requirements, but I can max that game out 60 FPS, running at high settings, no problem. Don't have frame drops like that. So that was pretty much the deciding vote. This game is not optimized well for AMD parts. I'm only saying that because they say people with 980 Ti's or some NVIDIA graphics cards are not having as many issues, but for AMD users, we got completely screwed on this one. So it was very, very annoying have to go through all that and then try to look online for some fixes, and there's nothing at the moment. So don't know what's going on there. But one thing I will say is the multiplayer, I enjoyed it so much. I'm glad it runs like butter. That's the saving grace of why I keep playing it, is because the multiplayer, I've always been a big competitive online gamer, especially when it comes to Gears of War, because that game takes skill. That's not like an easy game. Like Gears of War Judgment is where they kind of casualize it a little bit, where you couldn't even get people down, or if you shoot them a little bit, they just instantly die. It was kind of cheese. It wasn't good whatsoever. But this is the classic Gears of War multiplayer, similar to Gears of War 3, and also maybe a mix of Gears of War like 1 and 2 and stuff like that. So I really, really love the multiplayer, but really, really hate the optimization of the single player. Yeah, so other than that, there's no horror mode. It's just single player and multiplayer. And the fact that this is the games for Windows 10's like first launch, that they kind of launched it like that, kind of scares me a little bit, because we don't want to keep having these issues. We don't know if it was just the development team that did this, or Microsoft just like, forget it, we'll fix it later, just push it out now. Because that kind of screws certain people over, because it can work for some people's builds and then some people's builds it won't. How come an R7 card, which is a lower rated card than mine, can actually outpower my card in Gears of War Ultimate Edition? It doesn't make sense that that's how it's optimized, but there have been people on forums saying stuff like that, people on just the reviews in general. But honestly, after all that's been said and done, I still do play it from time to time. It was only 30, I think it was it was around 30 bucks, I think. It was $29.99. So for a 30-buck game, or yeah, it was a 30-buck game. So it's a half-price game, which I would say at this point, especially if you have an AMD rig or just a different rig in general, I would definitely recommend just waiting for a fix maybe. Or if you really cannot wait to play some Gears, at least you can play the online good depending on your build. If you at least, let's say for an example, have a 4-core processor, maybe R9 or R7 card, you'll be alright. But for the single player, you're pretty much screwed. So other than that, man, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if I was to rate this game at this point, because my impressions are going to at least end off with a rating, I would definitely rate this game a solid, I don't even know what to rate this game. I would say a 6 out of 10. Just because it could have been a solid 8 if it wasn't optimized like booty for the single player and for AMD parts, because it's not good. And then I don't know if it's not AMD keeping up with the drivers, because that's just weird that it's only for the single player and multiplayer is just perfect. But anyway, guys, I also got the Division, so look out for that pretty soon. I'm going to do an impressions on that, and I got a lot of things to say about that game. I really do. But thank you guys for tuning in. This is Quentin with Quentin Knows Games, and peace out.